G'day everyone, I'm Flynn, an active air traffic controller on VATSIM. If you're about to make your very first flight on the network, this video is for you. I'll walk you through everything you need to know from what VATSIM is to the gear and software required, how to properly plan your flight, and how to communicate with air traffic control using correct phraseology. I'll also show you taxi, takeoff, and arrival procedures with live footage of me controlling delivery, ground, and tower, so you get a controls perspective. Let's get started. Right, so what is VATSIM? VATSIM stands for Virtual Air Traffic Simulation Network. It's an online platform connecting real people, pilots, and controllers in a shared virtual airspace. Unlike typical flight games, VATSIM focuses on realism. You follow real-world procedures, speak authentic IK or phraseology, and communicate with real controllers who volunteer their time. It's more than flying from point A to B. It's about learning proper aviation procedures and being part of a global community. Preparing in advance will make your experience much smoother. One thing to note, that there are different VATSIM divisions and they all have their own standard operating procedures or SOPs. For example, the UK, Australia, Europe, and the US all have slightly different local rules, phraseology, preferences, and procedures. This means you might notice some phraseology or procedures vary depending on where you're flying. However, the core ICAO phraseology and fundamentals are the same worldwide. Learn the basics well and you will adapt quickly. This video focuses on general global procedures and phraseology when flying in a specific division. Be sure to check their official SOPs or training guides for local variations. Okay, what you need to fly on VATSIM. Before connecting to VATSIM, you need a few key things. A flight simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator, XPlane, or Prepared 3D all work well. A VATSIM account, free to register at vatsim.net in the link below. This is pretty much your online identity. You also need a pilot client to connect your simulator to VATSIM, vPilot for Microsoft Flight Simulator and Prepared 3D, and xPilot for XPlane. You also need a good headset with a microphone. Clear communication with ATC is essential. Access to airport charts, Navigraph, which is a payware software, SkyVector, and there's a site called ChartFox in the link below, which is freeware. Or you can use your country's aeronautical information publication. Next, SimBrief. You need SimBrief for flight planning, the industry's standard generating realistic routes and fuel data. You also need tools like VATSpy or the live VATSIM map or VATSIM radar to check traffic and controls online. Setting these up before flying will help avoid issues. Right, now let's get into flight planning using SimBrief. I'm going to show you an example of flight planning now. Okay, using SimBrief, you can enter your call sign in this box here. I'm going to be Qantas today, based in Australia. You can then enter your flight number in here. I'm going to put as 543 just to make it simple. Your departure airport, let's just go Perth. And then your arriving airport, let's go Sydney. You also need to choose your aircraft type. Today I'm going to choose a 737-800 down the bottom there. And for beginners, it's best to leave most of the settings on auto down here and here. This means SimBrief generates your routes, cruising altitude, fuel load, etc. for you. It reduces complexity and ensures your plan follows real-world data. SimBrief provides a detailed route with all necessary airways and waypoints, as you can see here. And here's my official route here. This is exactly what VATSIM Air Traffic Controller expects you to fly. So 99% of the time, use the route that SimBrief gives you once you first generate. You can see that these two flight plans here are you can fly on VATSIM, and these are not standard for VATSIM. So usually SimBrief will give you the VATSIM standard route first. Be sure to check your cruise altitude before requesting clearance. Going east is non-even flight levels, and going west is even flight levels. A good way to remember is east isn't even. East isn't even. Don't select SIDS and stars yourself as a beginner. SimBrief will do that for you. Once your flight plan is ready and safe, so we can click generate. And then what we're going to do to get the flight plan into VATSIM, we're going to come to the top left corner, scroll to the, go across to the right and click on Profile on a network. It'll take you down to the bottom where it's highlighted Profile on network and click VATSIM and then Profile. Here we are. So we got our call sign. Everything's in here. SimBrief has done it for us. So all we need to do is come down to the bottom and click File Flight Plan. I do have a tip for beginners. If you want to, you can put new pilot in the remarks. So air traffic control knows that you're a new pilot. So you can just click File Plan and then air traffic control will see your remarks in your flight plan. And then they should go a bit easier on you. Alright, so software setup and connection. Let me just load up vPilot. Here we oh, it's just crashed on me. Let's load vPilot up again. So after your flight plan is done, you can launch vPilot and configure it. So here I am with my vPilot. I use vPilot because I use Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Might just take a while. And also in vPilot, there is a flight plan button here. So if you haven't filed a flight plan yet, it will just take you to the same profile flight, but all your details will be blank, so you can enter a manual flight plan. But I wouldn't recommend it for beginners because obviously SimBrief will do it all for you. Anyways, vPilot. Let's click on settings to set up your vPilot. You will need your VATSIM CID. This can be found at myvatsim.net in the link below. Your VATSIM password. Your full name. Well, you don't have to put your full name. You can just put your first name if you're not comfortable with your whole name. Your home airport, and then just put the VATSIM server as automatic. Audio. You have to select your microphone device and set a good. See, if I scroll this down, people won't be able to hear me. I'll be really quiet. So I need to pull it up until my voice reaches the green. There we go. If I'm talking normally, my voice is reaching the green now. You also need to set a push to talk. My push to talk is on my joystick at the moment on the Windwing Ursa Minor. Alright. So that is it for the setting up vPilot. Always start cold and dark at a gate or parking stand in your simulator. You never spawn on a runway or a taxiway. Have your charts ready on a second screen or tablet, or you can just have it in a browser. Or all my charts are in here like this. For connecting, you can check which controllers are online by looking at VATSIM Radar, VATSPY, or VATSIM Map, and then tune your radios accordingly. Now you're ready to connect to VATSIM. Alright, so quickly we're going to speak about the VATSIM top-down system. So VATSIM top-down is a system that if a center controller is online, they will assume the controller's correction. They will do all of the procedures that the lower controllers do. So if center is online, they don't just control center. They control approach or radar, director or final, tower, ground, and delivery. So if you're requesting IFR clearance and only center is online, you request an IFR clearance on the center frequency. But if no controls are online, the advisory aka Unicom, is the frequency 122.8. Software setup and logging on, we've gone over that already, but it's just there if you need that information again. IFR departure. So, clearance delivery. In my opinion, this is the hardest part for new beginners. So, with your flight plan filed correctly and connected to the network, it's time to contact delivery for your IFR clearance. Do this about 10 to 15 minutes before pushback. Here's how you call delivery. Sydney delivery, Qantas 543 stand 54 IFR to Sydney with information Tango, request clearance. The controller will give you a clearance including your route, initial altitudes and score code. Write it down carefully and read it back exactly. If you miss something, say again, Qantas 543. This back and forth ensures everyone's on the same page, keeping the skies safe. Going to look at me issuing an IFR clearance in Melbourne, Australia.
Apologies, ground just 182, requesting IFR to Sydney. We've got information Yankee on board.
Just 182, you're cleared to Sydney via Docel flight plan route, runway 34, Docel 2 departure. Climb via set to 5000, squawk 3204, departure frequency 132.0.
Cleared to Sydney via the Docel flight plan route, runway 34, Docel 2 departure. Climb initial 5000, squawk 5204, just 182.
Just 182. There you go, that is me issuing an IFR clearance to Jetstar 182 at Melbourne. So that's usually how your IFR clearance goes, and that is definitely the hardest one by far. So here we have ground controls everything on the ground except for the runways, which tower controls. They give most of the time they give pushback and taxi clearance. One thing to note, there are different versions of taxi. There is straight taxi and broken taxi. Straight taxi is where they give you a taxi straight to the holding point of your runway. So say for example, taxi Alpha Bravo Charlie, holding point Charlie 1, runway 1, runway 01, and then broken is taxi Alpha Bravo hold short Charlie. So they haven't actually taxied you to the runway ready for departure yet, because there's obviously a conflict on the ground or a conflict soon to come. So it would somewhat go like this to request push and start. Qantas 543 request push and start. Air traffic control would respond with Qantas 543 push approved. Push approved, Qantas 543. Now, let's look. Lufthansa cargo 8470 heavy taxi Juliet Alpha holding point Kilo runway 34.
Juliet Alpha holding point Kilo runway 34 Lufthansa cargo 8470 heavy.
So tower controls the immediate aerodrome, controls crossings, takeoffs, landings, and go-arounds. Usually tower will ask if you're ready, and then if you say affirm or affirmative, they'll line you up on the runway or clear you for takeoff. Here's an example of me controlling Melbourne Tower during a milk run Monday in Australia. Brake, Jetstar 705, runway 34, clear for takeoff.
Runway 34, clear for takeoff, Jetstar 705.
Clearance issued by me at Melbourne. It's pretty simple tower. But then we get to departure and approach. One thing to note, approach can control departures as well, and departure can control aircraft approaching the aerodrome. So it's not just planes who are approaching the aerodrome connect approach. It's split into different sectors. It's a bit confusing, but air traffic control should help you around. They guide planes in and out of aerodromes, as I advised before. They can control your speed, heading, and altitude. On your first contact, when you've departed, we're going to say, Sydney departures today. It goes somewhat like this. Sydney departures today, Qantas 543 climbing through 2000 for 5000. Qantas 543, Sydney departures today, identified. climb via SID file 280. Climb via SID file 280, Qantas 543. Two things to note here. When I said climbing through 2,000 for 5,000, 5,000 is the altitude you got in your IFR clearance. So if we look on the chart, they would usually say initial altitude 5,000 or climb via SID 5,000. It's different wherever you go. And another thing to note, identified. That means air traffic control can see you on the radar. So identified means air traffic control can see you on the radar, and they know who you are. In America, I think they say radar contact. So it's a bit different in America, but it's the same everywhere else, I believe. Then we move on to en route or center. They climb you to your cruise. They sequence you with other aircraft. They can control your speed, heading, and altitude, and they control vast areas of land. It'll go something like this. After you've come off departure or approach, you would come to en route and say, Melbourne Centre, Qantas 543, maintaining flight level 280. Qantas 543, Melbourne Centre, hello, climb flight level 370. Climb flight level 370, Qantas 543. Okay, so now we move on to IFR arrivals. So by this point, you're still with en route or centre. You can request descent, although most air traffic controllers give you descent before your top of descent. And they also clear you via a STAR, which stands for Standard Instrument Arrival Route. So it would go something like this. Qantas 543 STAR clearance cleared the Bori for Alpha arrival, runway 34 left. When ready, descend flight level 250. Cleared the Bori for Alpha arrival, runway 34 left. When ready, descend flight level 250. Qantas 543. So once they say when ready, descend flight level 250, it's pretty self-explanatory, but you can descend to flight level 250 whenever you're ready. Approach/director. They either keep you on your STAR or vector you manually to align you with the final approach course. Then they clear you for the approach, so it goes something like this. Qantas 543, turn right heading 220, cleared the ILS approach, runway 23, report established. Turn right heading 220, clear the ILS approach, runway 23. We'll go, Qantas 543. That phraseology is from if you're being vectored to final approach. If you just join final without having to put on heading mode, they just say clear the ILS approach. They just disregard the heading in that phraseology. So tower, they clear you to land. It's pretty easy, as well as I said before, they can issue a go around. If you are issued a go around, aviate, navigate, communicate. So you aviate your go around first, you navigate where you are, and then you communicate with tower that you are going around ground. So ground guides you to the stand. After you have vacated the runway, goes something like this. Qantas 543, hello, welcome to Melbourne, taxi Juliet Golf to the bay, g'day. Taxi Juliet Golf to the bay, Qantas 543, g'day. As the same as we said before, they can issue broken or straight taxis. Some tips for your first flight. Try observing. Now, if you want to observe, if you click connect and you want to observe, you just tick this little box and it will say connect as observer. If you click that, you will not be seen by air traffic control, but you can see everyone else and hear air traffic control. Watch YouTube videos, some like this, and some. You could even watch people live streaming their controlling or their flights on VATSIM. It's pretty helpful. Acknowledge that controllers will understand that you're new. Put new VATSIM pilot in the remarks box. That's what I went over in the flight planning section with you guys. Don't be afraid. You won't regret it. VATSIM is It's really cool. I have enjoyed my 3 years of VATSIM. And everyone has been in this situation before, including me. I was probably as nervous as you before. But anyways, hope to see you guys on the network. And any questions, just leave it in the comments below. Have a good time. See ya.